a lot of City players maybe haven't performed at their best this season, but it's fair to say that one of those that's had a major decline is Walker, Kyle Walker, City's captain.
Yeah.
He's been a great servant to the club, hasn't he, since he joined in 2017. He's won 17 major trophies, over 300 appearances. Was regarded as one of an integral member of this team and one of the best right backs in the world in his prime, but he's certainly not shown that this season, has he? There's been a real decline, and what do you really put that down to? Obviously, he's 34 and he's not going to get any better, but what do you think are the main reasons behind his decline this season?
I mean, it's almost certainly down to his age, but I think age mixed with not being ready. I mean, I think Guardiola's pretty much said he came straight back into the team with essentially zero training. So I think look, I can only talk about as a relatively old man myself. Like getting out of bed in the morning, my muscles take twice as long as they used to warm up. And I presume it's the same as a footballer. I presume as you're getting older, recovering your form or your fitness, not for everyone, but for a lot of them, it's just going to take a little bit longer. And whatever there may be left of Kyle Walker's form and fitness, it's just you can't just turn it back on. I don't think anymore. It's not like he's 24 and he can just turn it on like that and he'll be fine. And I think Kyle Walker. I think there's probably likely some sort of a shift mentally that would need to happen as well for him to sort of rescue his own form because Kyle Walker's always done this thing throughout his career where because he trusts himself so much because he's a physical freak, genuinely phenomenal defensively at his very best. He's always shown wingers down and said go for it. Then he's caught up to him. He tried against Werner against Spurs a few weeks back, and he let him have that head start. Just couldn't get back, and we've seen people like Matoma do it to him as well, and a lot of wingers.
Traore at Fulham, I think, as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Traore, Bournemouth wingers, ran City ragged as well. It's one of those things where, like, basically, the there's this ever increasing frequency of wingers who are just out running Kyle Walker, and that is only down to fitness. And I think his top speed is still pretty good, but acceleration just isn't there. And I think his reaction times are down a little bit, and that can be down to age. And he's got a lot on his mind as well. He's got a lot going on. I think in general, Kyle Walker is he's on his way down. There's no two ways about it. I think you don't know until you know, but there were signs of it last season as well. And I think in hindsight, City probably should have looked to address that because it's not a surprise and to to see a man who's so often relied on his physical attributes struggle by the time he gets to the age of 34. Like I think pretty much everyone could have predicted that really, and you hope it wouldn't be too dramatic, but it's I guess you wouldn't expect his reaction times to have dipped so much, but they are. Like it's unfortunately he seems to be culpable for many mistakes. He was the one playing everyone on side for the first goal, didn't leap or challenge for the second goal for the corner, and these are sort of as much. These aren't necessarily physical things. These are more decision making, and I do wonder. You know, I do wonder why that's happening. It could be entirely once again down to age because it's just harder to concentrate as you're older, as you're more tired. And I wonder maybe is the captain's armband quite a lot of a burden for him? Is he overthinking things? Is he struggling to sort of cope with the change? As he gets older, it could be many things, or it could be entirely down to form. It could be that he's not really eased his way into the team. He's just been thrown in, hasn't been ready, and if you're not ready and you get thrown in, you sort of never get a chance to settle again. But it's a shame because Kyle Walker is sort of a one of one kind of player that I've never seen a defensive right back really like him in the Premier League, and he's been a massive part of Manchester City's success. A small part of me resents the fact that he's playing his way through the end of his career at City so poorly because you don't want to sort of be tainted in his memory. Look, he'll be fine. He's going to be a Man City legend regardless because he's our best ever right back. But it's a shame that he's had to battle through this decline, and maybe he should have left a year ago or something like that, before he signed his contract, so he'd have gone out on a glorious high. But this is where we're at right now, and I think the truth is staring us in the face here. City have to invest very soon in a right back, and I would not be against even in January. I think that's just as pressing for me as a defensive midfielder because I think City's. I mean, one that could play centre back as well would be great. But maybe I'm more drawn to a classic fullback. But yeah, I think Walker, unfortunately, his days at City are very numbered, and I'd be amazed if he's here past the summer.
yeah. I think talking about transfers there, I think the priority is probably midfielder, but it'd be interesting to see if they do go for a defender, a right-sided one, like you said. And with Walker, he's actually been linked with a return back to Sheffield United. His contract's up in 2026, but it'd be interesting to see, what happens with his future, I guess, in the next 12 months or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, for City, do you think as well that, how do you think Guardiola will manage him now in these coming weeks? Do you think it's worth taking him out of the side a bit? It's a difficult one, obviously, because City have got a small squad, and it's hard to rest players when they need as many as they can
Mm.
fit. So
Yeah.
is it possible that he could be taken out of the side for a few games, or has he got to play through this to get his form back?
There's a bit of it's a bit of a bone of discontent between a lot of City fans, and they're all very much like just. And his form has been really bad, so I don't think people are exaggerating. A lot of people are just saying like he just can't play right now. He's making too many mistakes and he's involved in too many goals. Um, and I was chatting to a few City fans and asked who, and they were just basically like anyone. Like, and someone suggested playing Simpson Pusey, the young lad, or someone suggested giving Nunes a go, right back or whatever. Um, which it sort of shows, I would argue, how much we're sort of thrashing around looking for a solution. I would understand those calls. I get them, but at the same time, I'd be amazed if pretty much any Premier League manager would choose those options over hoping that Kyle Walker finds some kind of form. Because I understand the logic behind that. Like if Kyle Walker can be played into form, can find some form, you would argue there's much more value in that than hoping that Nunes is a good right back or hoping that Simpson Pusey, the 18-year-old lad, doesn't get, ripped to pieces. And I know Kyle Walker's currently getting ripped to pieces, but I understand the logic. And if I'm being totally honest as well, probably not easy to drop your captain and put him on the bench behind, an 18-year-old if Walker's attitude is fine, which you presume it is. It was different when, Rico Lewis deposed Joao Cancelo a couple of years back, just before the treble running, because that was all about attitude, and that was all down to, Cancelo being a little bit sulky and Guardiola wanting to shake things up. I presume Kyle Walker's playing, but as well as even though he's playing badly, I presume Kyle Walker's still, I'm sure Guardiola's fine with him if that makes sense. So I don't think it's the same situation. I would love to see someone else get a go because I really do think his form's that bad, but I just can't see Guardiola just playing an academy lad there. He's not going to play Nunes at right back because once again we need him as a midfield option, a winger option because the numbers are so short out there. So I just don't see what else he's going to do, and I think it is very much playing through and hoping for the best. And I mean, the best bet for Kyle Walker to not become an issue is hope that a Kanji or Ake returns, and then one of them can shovel over, or Rico can play right back if Ake can come in and cover so Vardiol can play left back or get a rest or whatever. So I don't think City can do much more other than just sort of swallow the medicine, really. I think they've made a mistake in trusting Kyle Walker for one more year. I think he's a great player, was a great player. His time's up, and I think unfortunately, City are going to have to just deal with it and hope that some players come back from injuries pretty soon. I think the Forest game, by the way, with Akanji started at right back, was a very telling, very very telling message from Guardiola. I think he knows deep down that Kyle Walker's not in his best form, and he might be one step too far from.
Yeah, and I think Akanji and Lewis are really the only realistic options to play at right back if Walker's not going to be there. You mentioned
Yeah,
Nunes, but I don't think he's ever done that before,
no,
really
he's
a lot.
never.
So exactly. So really,
It's just yeah, it's guesswork. That's guesswork.
he's Guardiola's got three realistic options to choose from, and we'll just have to see if Walker's the one that stays there for a period of time. But I think if Akanji is fit, he's probably the one. I think if, for example, well, we'll talk about them now. We've got Juventus and Man United next. If Akanji was to be fit for those and fully fit for those, you'd probably expect him maybe to get the nod